So it's a real honor to be here on the stage today with two people who are doing a fantastic job today, I think, ringing the alarm over all sorts of abuses of power and authority committed by states and non-state actors around the world.
Human rights movement and the human rights journalism and peace journalism that we're creating in Mexico, sums up like millions of people. And we are doing what we should do, which is writing history right now, and we're doing it from the right perspective. We might die doing it, but we are just willing to keep on going, and I think that's really important. Yeah.
You know, if the story, whenever someone sort of doesn't like something that I write and they start saying, you're an activist, you're not really a journalist, you show me the error in my story. Show me the thing that I wrote that is not true. You may not like how I talk about it. You may not like that I'm actually saying this is what I believe about it. But what in the story is not true? And I'll have that debate any day with anyone. But I'm also not going to pretend that I somehow don't have a viewpoint on a teenage kid who's on the other side of a Hellfire missile, because of mistaken identity or because his metadata said that he was a terrorist.
So it's getting harder and harder to publish. For example, for me, I am the only woman on the only Mexican journalist that has been translated to so many languages. I am the only one that has all these awards all over the world, and no newspaper wants to publish anything I write. Last year, I was working at El Universal, writing every week, and someone from the president's office called the owner of the media, of the newspaper, and told him to kick me out. And they just did. They called me and they kicked me out of the newspaper.
They have Wolf Blitzer and a panel of 8 people discussing the taco bowl that Donald Trump ate, and we have a war against journalism around the world where record numbers of journalists are being killed.
But with our Article 19, we were able to document precisely that 75% of all persecutions, assassination, tortures, and disappearance of journalists in Mexico have been perpetrated by policemen and government officials and the military. So it's not organized crime who's going after us. It is the governor.
If you don't care about the people that you're writing about, then I don't think you should be in journalism. It's not a career, it's not a profession. It becomes a way of life. It has to burn in your heart, or you shouldn't be doing it.
And thank you very much to ALBA for having us here as well.
Welcome everyone to ALBA's 80th celebration of the outbreak of the Spanish Civil War, and are especially excited to honor Lidia Cacho and Jeremy Escahill, two groundbreaking investigative reporters who have committed their lives to shedding light on our society's darkest secrets, human trafficking and dirty wars. We attend the first reunion since the passing last February 28th of the last known surviving veteran of the Lincoln Brigade, Delmer Berg.
And what does it mean to be the last veteran? I cannot worry about that. I cannot consider it even. If it meant that I could play a certain part because of I'm the last guy, I would. There are younger people that are starting out like when I started out a little bit, but maybe on a higher level because they're probably a little better political understanding, but those younger people are the future. it stayed with us the rest of our lives, right? Like right now. I still want to do, not a war or anything, but I still want to do the best I can in the political movement of the working class.
Are we ready to lay to rest properly the last of the volunteers? Bessie's invitation to his comrade to sleep soundly is in fact a declaration of action, a vow to carry on what they started in Spain. Are we prepared to make that pledge so that our beloved veterans may rest in peace? But deep down, we know all too well that the best way to honor the memory of the veterans of the Lincoln Brigade is with a lifetime of joyful and righteous noise. And that is why today we honor Lydia Cacho and Jeremy Scahill, who are fearlessly continuing in their own ways what the vets started in Spain. Thank you.
The Second Republic was a source of hope to the poorest in Spanish society and a threat to the richest and to their supporters. The government tackled poverty through policies directed at redistribution of wealth, instituting an 8-hour day, and initiating land reform policies. Constitutional reforms and new laws led to a complete separation of church and state, eliminated the church's control over public education, legalized divorce, and gave women the right to vote. A beacon of hope for all those who stood for social justice, human rights, and democracy around the world. And now, to help us tell this story, please join me in welcoming our performers.
Como ser humano, el hombre que quieres es su pan. Las habladurías le bastan ya, porque estas nada le dan. Pues 1, 2, 3, pues 1, 2, 3, compañero en tu lugar, porque eres del pueblo, afíliate ya en el Frente Popular.
Since 2011, ALBA and the Puffin Foundation have collaborated on an award honoring human rights activism. Not just human rights activism. I love that about the ALBA Puffin Award. It gives recognition to organizations and individuals who are on the vanguard, the frontline figures. Today we've gathered to honor the recipients of the 2016 ALBA Puffin Award, Lydia Cacho and Jeremy Scahill. Lydia is from Mexico, a country where simply being a journalist is to face real danger. Lydia has written 12 books, from poetry to fiction, non-fiction investigative reporting, to a manual on preventing child abuse. Jeremy lives and works right here in New York City, but the scope of his reporting spans the globe. Since before the US invasion of Iraq and the capture of Saddam Hussein, Jeremy has been covering the war on terror in all its frightening dimensions.
You know, this award encourages and recognizes individuals or groups whose work has a positive impact on the advancement and or defense of human rights. You know, Jeremy's work is a continuation of the struggle against reactionary forces here in our own country. He's laid bare the impact and extent of America's shadow wars across the globe. And Lydia courageously lays bare the Mexican authorities' use of censorship, as well as torture and corruption. They represent the soul of ALBA and its humanitarian work, and we're proud to honor them with this award.
The Abraham Lincoln Brigade Archive and the Puffin Foundation proudly grant the 6th ALBA Puffin Award for Human Rights Activism to Lydia Cacho in recognition of her commitment to civil empowerment, her approach to investigating and fighting human trafficking, femicide, and corruption, and her unwavering opposition to a violent system that continues to try to silence her, and to Jeremy Scahill in recognition of his career in investigative journalism, in the course of which he has provided indispensable information about the dirty wars and covert programs through which successive U.S. administrations have fomented conflict and death around the world. Please help me welcome Lydia Cacho and Jeremy Scahill to the stage.
I think that all of us have an obligation in our daily lives, but also in how we view the world, to remember the sacrifice of the brave men and women that we honor today, and to ensure that all of the young people in our lives know the story of the Abraham Lincoln Brigade and the Abraham Lincoln Brigade veterans. I want to dedicate this award to Clarence Kalin, to Daniel Berrigan, and to my father, Michael Scahill. Thank you.
I'm really proud to be here today, and of course to share the award with Jeremy, a man that I truly, truly admire. The fact that we are aware of the humanity and the value of the human life of every other person around the world makes us bigger and stronger to fight the fights that we should be responsible for. And I want to dedicate this award to every one of us and ask you to remember always, when you are afraid, when you want to give up, that you too are the utopia, and we are still building a utopia for our children and our grandchildren, because there will be peace only when we're still dreaming of peace. Thank you so much.
But for us, there is no complaining. Winter will in time be past. One day we shall rise rejoicing. Homeland dear, you're mine at last. We are the Peatbog soldiers, marching with our spades to the wall.
See you next year, and viva la 15 Brigada!